and welcome to another interesting episode of the Canine Connection. I'm your host, Victoria Morris, animal behaviourist and trainer. I hope that you're having a great day, and I hope that you enjoyed our last two episodes on puppy care with Dr. Andrea Del Caro. With that in mind, I thought we could focus the next two very special episodes on puppy behaviour and training. I'm sure you're super excited for looking for your new puppy companion, so I thought I'd give you a little bit to think about in terms of how you can search for your ideal puppy. There's an awful lot of things to think about when considering offering a puppy into your home. There is a certain amount of research that you need to do, and also you want to have a little think about breed. You also want to think of how you can prepare for your puppy's arrival, and you also want to think a little bit about how you can best introduce the puppy into your home, causing minimal stress. So it's really important to have a little think about these things so that you set yourself and your puppy up for the best success. So the first place I would really start with, if you're thinking about welcoming a puppy into your home, is to ask yourself some questions. It's a huge commitment inviting a puppy into your home. So the first thing I would ask myself is, am I in a good situation to welcome a puppy into my home? Is it the right time for you and your family? And also, is everybody in agreement? When you're training a puppy, it's very important that everybody is consistent, that everybody's doing the same thing. Otherwise, it's going to interfere with your training. So I would make sure that everybody is on board, have a little bit of a think about who's going to be responsible for all of the different things with the puppy, feeding, walking. It's just a good idea to know what everybody's role is going to be. Also, have a little think about your home environment. Now, for me, it's not necessarily something that you correlate with high animal welfare, that you should have a garden by this number of metres square, by this number of metres square, or a house, for example. I often work in big cities such as Monaco and other cities in Europe, and some of the people living in cities and apartments are the hardest working people with their puppies. They spend an extra effort getting their puppy out, socialising, doing walks. So having a garden and having a certain property of a certain amount of square metres is not always what's going to positively, highly correlate with good animal welfare. So I'm really concerned, mostly, that you have the time for your puppy, you're willing to put the time in to care and train for your puppy. So with that in mind, also one thing to think about is work and also holidays. Do you travel a lot as part of your work? Do you tend to take a lot of holidays? And what will you do in that instance? Do you have family or friends that will care for your puppy? If not, do you have good pet sitting services locally? Obviously, the goal here is that you're going to be there for your puppy for as much time as possible. But do have a little bit of think about what your contingency plans are going to be if you do go on holiday or you have to travel for work. Or perhaps you're at work during the day. It's really important to think about these things. Another important consideration is, can you afford a puppy? There are so many different costs involved with a puppy. So if having a little think about veterinary fees, castration, spaying, buying toys, the right types of toys that are going to stimulate your puppy. Also, insurance, grooming. Some puppies may need more grooming, and growing into adulthood may need more grooming than others. So just have a little think about whether you're in a position to be able to afford that and put the resources into that. And also in terms of pet sitting and this type of thing, it's a good idea just to have a little think through that. The other thing that I would mention is, do you have the time to commit to training a puppy? In my opinion, the training never stops. Of course, you've got a huge concentration of training when the puppy is very young. Your puppy's like a sponge. They're going through critical periods of learning. So you need to make sure that you have the time to commit to that. But it's, in my opinion, what creates the best welfare and the happiest dogs are that they are trained throughout their lifetime. Obviously, you'll alter the training according to the abilities of your dog at that particular time in their life, what they're physically capable of. But you really need to think of training and the time that you're going to commit as something that you need to consider throughout your dog's lifetime. So that we've already thinking about an awful lot of things that you need to have in mind when looking for a puppy. The next thing is to think about breed. Have a little bit of a think about your energy levels. Are you super energetic and want to have a puppy that will grow up into an adult dog that you're going to go running with, or maybe take long hikes with? Or do you enjoy shorter walks? So have a little think about the type of dog in terms of energy levels, what you foresee doing with your puppy as they grow. Have you had a dog before? Particularly if you're looking at a larger breed dog, have you got the confidence and the presence to work with that puppy and that puppy growing into adulthood? If you've never had a dog before, maybe you want to think about a smaller breed. And also in terms of grooming, we mentioned it just briefly before, have a little think about whether you can commit not only financially, but also time-wise to getting your dog down to a groomer if needs be for grooming. And obviously different dogs will have different grooming needs. But certainly if you're looking at certain breeds, they may need to go to the groomer once a month. So have a little think about that. And also children, do you have children in the house? Now, I do believe that certain breeds are genetically predisposed to behave in certain ways. But for me, the training and the environment is super important, and if not as important. So obviously certain breeds of dogs, such as golden retrievers, these types of breeds, have a very good reputation for being very good with children. But do remember that every breed of dog has the potential to be aggressive if they have not been properly trained, have not had proper exposure and socialization. So this doesn't always have to be a limiting factor in terms of looking at a breed that is good with children. I really would say it's down to you, down to the training. And also do keep in mind that no matter how well trained and how well behaved a dog is, we do want to obviously modify our children's behaviour as well. It is my belief that children should not be left alone with puppies or dogs. You should be there to supervise. A dog responds to instinct, and sometimes we don't know how a dog is going to respond. But certainly if you put the right type of training, the right type of socialisation in place early on, this should not be any issue at all. Also have a little think about legal requirements. Have a little think about what you are legally required to do in the country that you live when you choose that particular breed of dog. There may be certain breeds where you have to take a course, where your dog must be muzzled or kept on a leash. So have a little look into your local legislation. Certainly in the UK, have a little look at the Dangerous Dogs Act 1991, and see, obviously be aware of the breed and what your obligations are. The other thing to think about is low energy, high energy. We spoke about that briefly. Obviously, if you're quite a hiker or a runner, maybe you can have a little think about dog breeds such as Dobermans, Australian Shepherd, some of the Vizsla. You can have a little think about these breeds that are a little bit more high energy. Whereas if you want to take life a little bit more slowly, you might want to look at a Havanese or perhaps a Shih Tzu. So just to give you an idea. Also, really do your research. Chat to professionals such as behaviourists, professionals such as vets, as well as breeders, and really take time to consider your decision. I would also, when you're looking at breed, chat to your vet, as we've just said, but also chat to your governing bodies, such as the SCC in France, Kennel Club in the US, UK, and also have a little think about rescue centres. There are an awful lot of puppies that are looking for homes in rescue centres. So you might also find special rescue centres that work with your chosen breed as well. So that's another thing to think about. You don't always have to go to a breeder. When you see the breeder, it's also good to have in mind a list of questions that you might want to ask. The first thing I would ask is how long have they been registered? Are they registered? And do they breed just a small amount of breeds, or are they sort of on a larger scale with lots of different breeds? I would tend to go to a breeder that focuses on a small amount of breeds, my personal feeling is you're going to be looking at a smaller concern and perhaps a breeder that is very passionate about their breed, rather than going to a big concern that's focusing on many different breeds. You also want to ask them what type of early socialization is there. Some breeders are great at this. They will introduce lots of different toys, lots of different sound desensitization, so that your puppy from the day one is becoming socialized and becoming desensitized to all of these different stimuli. Perhaps your breeder has cats, perhaps your breeder has children. Have a little think about the early socialization, because of course you're going to work hard on that when your puppy comes home, but have a little think about what the breeder is doing on that side. Also, how many are there in a litter? What health checks are they doing? Is that particular breed vulnerable to hip dysplasia, eye conditions? So do make sure that they're carrying out the required tests. And also, can you see the puppies? Check out the parents. What is their nature? How do they behave? This is a good indication as well. And ask if you can visit a few times. Obviously, for your puppy from an early age will display certain behaviours, but these may change as the puppy gets older and the character is starting to develop. So you might want to make a couple of visits before deciding on the puppy that you want to take. The other thing I would ask is what support are they able to offer you? are they able to give you support if there are any health issues when the puppy arrives at your home? And also, what type of vaccines will they complete? And will they provide you with a certain amount of food to start with? If you do want to look at changing your puppy's food, it's a good idea just to start with whatever the breeder has been using, and then over time just gradually introduce a higher ratio of the new food that you want to change the food to. And I obviously wouldn't recommend doing this straight away. Your puppy's got loads and loads of new changes to adapt to when it comes to your home. So maybe perhaps after a couple of weeks, maybe you can explore diet with your vet, availability of food, what's the best food for that particular breed, and then maybe you might want to change over. You can also chat to them about microchips and what paperwork they'll do, what you'll need to do, what are your obligations in terms of doing that, and also ask them if there's anything they'd like to know from you. I always think it's a good indication if the breeder is asking you lots of questions about what is your lifestyle, can you commit to the puppy, what's your home environment like. If they're trying to find out a little bit about you to see if you're a responsible owner, I always think that is a really good sign too. So already lots and lots to think about. And as I mentioned, a rescue centre, you should definitely get in contact with rescue centres if they have puppies that are needing loving homes. Chat to them about the type of puppy that you'd like to offer a home to, and also get a little bit of history. It might be an older puppy that you're going to offer a home to. What were the previous homes? What are the circumstances that the puppy arrived in the rescue centre? And are there any behavioural issues that you should be aware of? And ask if you can take the puppy for a walk, depending on obviously how old the puppy is, and what support can they supply you? Are there any illnesses? Will they come to do a home visit? This is really, really important because that's indicating that they're a responsible rescue centre, and they obviously want to make sure that the puppy is not going to several homes before finding the right one, which is obviously causing a lot of unneeded stress for a puppy. And also ask what stage of training the puppy is at. See where the puppy is housed, what's the relationship with other dogs. And also obviously check, same as in the case with the breeder, on your microchip, the various paperwork and how you register your puppy. And also check in about food, and perhaps the puppy is an older puppy, has already been castrated or spayed. You want to check all of these different factors out so that you're well prepared. I cannot really stress how much the preparation is so important. The next thing I would do, even in the early stages before you've welcomed your puppy into the home, is to choose your vet, choose your groomer, your trainer, your behaviourist if one is required, and also your dog walker. There are certain organisations that you can look at. In terms of any behavioural work that may need to be done, you can check the APBC in the UK. There are all different organisations that can help you find good professionals that are properly qualified, have good ethical approaches, and that can help you. Also, in terms of a trainer, have a little look at the APDT, the Association of Pet Dog Trainers. You'll obviously have equivalents in the country that you live as well, but certainly with the APDT, you can be assured of finding a good trainer that has good ethics, does not use choke chains, prong collars, and doesn't use aversive stimulus, whose basis of an approach is based around positive reinforcement. And I am a member of the APDT, and I'm very proud to be. And it is super important that you can find a professional that can work in that manner. Otherwise, if you're using these aversive techniques, it can cause unknown behavioural issues and problems. And besides the ethical considerations, of course, but in terms of the ethics of it, when you're using such things as choke chains, prong collars, a dog can be prone to ocular issues, hind leg dysplasia, and that's not to mention the negative associations that can result from their use. You're far better focusing on shaping positively the type of behaviour that you want to see. So have a little meeting with these people, chat to them on the phone, have a chat with your vet as well. They can usually point you in the direction of a good professional as well. That's very important. In terms of dog walking, again, look for a professional. Are they insured? Are they taking out 10 or 20 dogs all at the same time? In my opinion, from a professional point of view, this is irresponsible. Dogs are animals. They respond to instinct. Dynamics within a group can change very quickly. You shouldn't see dog walkers walking around with many dogs on a lead. It just is not safe, professional, or responsible. You also want your dog walker to continue in the same vein with training as you're doing at home, because if you're putting all of this work into your training at home and then you have somebody else involved, whether it's a pet sitter or a dog walker that's not operating in the same way and accepting unwanted behaviour, or not training in the same way, or having those same approaches, it's going to interfere with your training. So you also want to see if you have a dog walker, how many dog walkers are there to the number of dogs. Again, in my opinion, you want to look with a dog walker that's working with small amounts of dogs at one time. It's the most safest way to operate. As soon as your dog has a negative experience, or perhaps in some cases, as I've heard on many occasions, a client's dog has been bitten, it can cause so many behavioural issues and problems. So have a little think about that as well. And also, I would arrange a pre-visit with your trainer or behaviourist. That way they can come around, look at the house, you can plan where sleeping is going to be, where feeding is going to be. You can really get it right just straight from day one. So I think that's a really good place to start. You can get your shopping list together, you know what to buy. It's just the best possible way to do it. Then with that in mind, you can go forward and start preparing the house. You could perhaps look at a DAP. It's a little plug-in, a little bit like one of those fragrance ones you put in the house. And it has a dog-appeasing pheromone in. So this pheromone mimics the pheromone of a lactating female, so it can have a calming effect on dogs. So maybe just as you're welcoming the puppy into the home, maybe you want to put a few plugins, not absolutely necessary, but it's something you can think about. Obviously crates and blankets. And also for the training point of view, you want to have a bum bag where you can put your treats in for training, and also a clicker. I'm going to focus on the clicker in the next episode. I'm going to let you hear a sound of the click. So that's a clicker, and I'm going to explain to you how we use the clicker in the next episode, and also obviously in further episodes as well. Have a little think about treats. I would tend to use treats that are more gentle on the tummy, straightforward. Protein-based treats are really good. If you can do treats at home rather than buying packet treats, it's always a good idea as well. And think about the type of food you're going to have for your puppy. Bowls, these types of things. Also toys, have a good set of toys. I always recommend things such as Kongs and snack balls that are treat orientated, and the puppy has to manipulate those, which is really good because you're promoting independent play. It's really good that your puppy can play independently, has the confidence to do that, and is not reliant on you for play. So have a little look for Kongs and snack balls and this type of thing. You're obviously going to want to look for really good chews as well, like Nyla bones, this type of thing, and have a little toy box, and put your toy box out of reach so that you're the one that's provisioning the toys. This is always a really good idea. Also, you might want to have a little look at puzzles that you can do with your puppy. This is not promoting independent play, but it's great training, great stimulation, and you can do this between you and your puppy. So it's one-on-one time with your puppy. And you can also work on the different levels. You can start at level 1 and you can work up as well. The other thing is have a little think about socialization and sound desensitization. So you can download CDs off of YouTube. You can buy CDs which have a range of sounds on. So sounds of fire engines and hot air balloons and children and traffic and roadworks. This is really good for desensitizing your puppy to sound. It's really good for preventing future problems with sound. So it's also part of your socialization training. So super important. Also get yourself a little health kit together as well. I normally put these together for my clients with ear, eye cleaner, protection for the pads, because as we discussed in our last episode with Dr. Andrea Del Caro, it's important to protect the pads with your puppy because they'll be more sensitive to heat and to cold when they're very much younger. You can also think about cotton pads, probiotics, this type of thing. So have a good little kit at home, and also your vet will be able to advise you on that. Toothbrush and toothpaste, really super important. If you can do that once a week with your puppy, that's great. And also training them to accept the procedure. I cannot emphasize how important it is to desensitize your puppy to all of these different health behaviors so as to prevent future problems with handling. You can make it positive. The puppy knows certain commands. You can take your clicker and your treats, which I will explain later, into the vet. So all the time we're keeping things positive. Your puppy, as it gets older, will have certain health issues from time to time, the same as we do. Maybe an eye infection or an ear infection or a sore tummy. And over a lifetime, that's when negative associations can start to develop. So if you're doing training very, very early on, things have got certain commands, and you're making it positive, and you continue that throughout your dog's life, then you can make these procedures positive so that there is no handling issues later on. You might want to have a little think about wipes, baby shampoo, also a calendar to record all your vaccinations in, also your wormer and your tick treatment. You also want to think about a hairdryer. Perhaps you want to wash your puppy at home. This is a good idea. And if you can vary the speed on your hairdryer, you can gradually desensitize them to the hairdryer being on full power. Towel, lead, collar, harness also. And you maybe want to have a nanny cam at home for when you start to leave your puppy alone. All different things that you can think about. When it comes to the day that you want to collect your puppy, you want to have in mind having a crate in the back of your car, also blankets as well. And in terms of the size of the crate, have a little look online. You can find really good guides in terms of sizes, but basically you want to have a crate that is not too big for your puppy, that they would feel happy to go to the toilet in one area of the puppy. In one area of the crate. So pick a good size crate that the puppy can move around comfortably, but not too big that they'd want to go to one side of the crate and go to the toilet. We want to pick a good size crate. And in the next episode, we'll talk a little bit more about crate training. And then when you get home, it's a good idea to set the crate up in your bedroom, perhaps next to you, perhaps next to the bed. And over the course of the week and the days, as your nights are progressing, you can start to gradually move that crate away from the bedroom into your ideal desired area, whether it be in a kitchen area or in a living room. And of course, when you pick your puppy up, you can have the crate in the back of the car. It's the safest place for your puppy to travel. And obviously, as we get into the next episode, we'll talk a little bit more about crate training. And yeah, just get your food ready, get through your first night. It probably won't be a great first night. You might be up quite a lot in the middle of the night. But again, we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the next episode. And the next thing really to think about is just when your puppy comes home, remember that their immunity is not up to full capacity. So you will need to avoid socializing with other puppies for an initial period. So if you want to socialize your puppy, take your puppy in your arms and let them listen to the sounds, let them be socialized, but be wary before all of your puppy vaccinations are done about putting them onto the floor, particularly where other puppies or dogs have been to the toilet. And obviously don't go to introduce your puppy to another dog that you meet out and about, unless you know that the dog is fully vaccinated. Perhaps you already have a dog in the house, then that's no problem. And think about your tick treatments and also your wormers, and get your calendar going so that you don't miss any of those important appointments. And then the next thing really to think about is to make an appointment with your vet 4 days afterwards so that you can set your schedule for your puppy care. And also, lastly, book your appointment with your trainer and behaviourist. It's a really good idea to give your puppy 4 or 5 days, something like this, just to adapt to their new environment. And then ask your trainer or your behaviourist to come by, and then you can start with the training process and start moving forward for success. I hope that's been really, really helpful for you guys with your puppy, your search for your puppy, and how you prepare for your puppy. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for your continued support. Have a wonderful day, and remember, a trained dog is a happy dog. Have fun.